Yeah, I'm recording. Oh, wait. Are we recording?
I just don't want to stand in the way of your
Yes, I would like
freedom.
more alcohol, please.
Shake it, not stirred.
We get
Yeah,
better
don't
with...
you dare stir that shit. I'm gonna kill you.
Yes, I'm really recording.
I'm just gonna drink the vermouth.
I don't, but
All
I'm
right.
not. I'm not.
Da-da-da-da-da-da. Hey, welcome to the Bondcast, James Bondcast. Got it. I nailed it.
Nailed. Hey, we're on iTunes.
Hey, we are on iTunes. The Bondcast, James Bondcast on iTunes. The only Bondcast, James Bondcast with me on it.
Yeah, you are unique to this show.
Yeah, and I promise I won't do another one unless they pay me.
Sound? That's how you know.
Shaken, not
show's
stirred.
beginning.
That's actually not a bad intro.
But we have sweet-ass intro music, so we don't need that shit. All right, my name is Harris McCabe. I'm here with...
Hello, I'm Colin Shaw. Welcome to Bondcast, James Bondcast.
And also...
Yo, what up? It's your boy Matt McGregor.
Yeah, we triple mic'd you. And I am C-Rock.
And Chris has a nickname now. Awesome. All right. So today we are doing. We're going to take a look at the third movie in the James Bond franchise, Goldfinger.
Goldfinger.
We are working our way through the James Bond franchise.
I want to reserve the right to do that a few times.
Month by month. I think we could do that as often as possible.
Goldfinger.
It's pretty fun.
Nice.
So we're working our way through the franchise. Every month we're talking about a new James Bond movie. We just sort of yap about it for a little while, and sometimes, occasionally, say stuff that's interesting, and
We're counting down.
even rarely we say stuff that's funny. And we're counting down to the release of the new
James Bond.
James Bond movie. Nice job, Matt. Thank you. Which is like a year away, so it's 2 years away. So it's like it's gonna be.
We got to do this for 2 years?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
No, we're gonna do them all next week. Don't worry about it.
All right,
we're just
cool.
we're all gonna take a week off from work and just knock these out. All right, but today we're doing Goldfinger.
for a release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I can't believe we stepped on that. Can we bring that out in post?
It's going to be a long time waiting for a release.
That's better. All right, we got it clean. Wild lines. Nice. All right, so we've already done Dr. No, the first James Bond movie, and we've done From Russia with Love, which these other guys didn't like, and I did. And now we're doing Goldfinger, popularly thought to be one of the best Bond movies. It is the third in the franchise, and we have our original director, Terrence Young.
No. New director.
God, jump all over me.
Terrence Young.
Well,
What I
now
was
you know
saying
how
is-
it feels.
What I was saying, yeah, seriously. Thank you, Chris. What I was saying was that Terrence Young, our original director, Terrence Young, who directed the first two movies, who they liked a lot, he did all the pre-production on this movie, and they couldn't agree on compensation. So after pre-production was done, he left the film, and he was replaced by Guy Hamilton, who was a competent director of some smaller action movies, and would return to direct Thunderball and some other stuff.
It says he knew Ian Fleming. Is that right?
No, he would direct Diamonds Are Forever and a few more. Young would be back for Thunderball.
I read
Ian
that
Fleming?
he knew Ian Fleming.
Did he? Well, that's good.
I thought that's what they had. They had. I don't know.
It might be one of those things where they lost their go-to guy in Terrence Young, and they were like, "Hey, does anybody know anybody who wants to direct these things?" And Ian Fleming was like, "Hey, I know a guy. His name's Guy Hamilton."
Hamilton knew Fleming, as both were involved during intelligence matters in the Royal Navy during World War
So he was
II.
like an actual spy.
But quite frankly, I think Guy Hamilton killed it directing this movie. Don't you think this movie's bomb as fuck?
Yeah, it's great.
Are
Yeah.
we supposed to tip our hands like that? Aren't we supposed to
This
reserve
is
our
said to
opinions for
be.
the
This
end?
is said to be one of the best ones.
This is
I
awesome.
feel like has the critical acclaim that would suggest that maybe we're gonna say good things.
I'm not
about
fooling anybody. This is a fucking dope movie, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows Goldfinger's
So
awesome.
how-
It has
Zero.
problems. It has problems. There's stuff I don't like.
Oh, there's stuff that does not age well at all. But the fact that the movie's awesome is
I don't like the. Well, I don't know if I should say. I don't like the guy who plays Felix. I don't. I
Well,
feel like I need a different vibe from my Felix Leiter character.
Oh, don't worry, you'll get it.
I don't like. I don't like the way
every
Bond. I
single
don't like
fucking
some
movie.
of Bond's interactions with some of the women.
Oh my god,
Particularly the butt
very
slapping in the
problematic.
beginning.
Are you back on your Bond high horse?
Yeah, like
Of course. He has like superhuman abilities in my mind. Like,
to like rape goodness into
That's
people.
called a- that's
It's
called a- that's
very,
called being a
it's
pimp.
Very questionable.
no,
All
he
right.
really loves them. It's just like, there's circumstances.
He really loves them?
Yes.
Question mark?
Well, he really loves women in general,
It's
for
Got
sure.
you.
This is a particularly horrendous James Bond movie. If you're
All right,
if you're
so I'm
into
Matt.
the whole-
Let's jump right into it. Let's start talking about the story.
Is that a Matt impression? That was pretty spot on.
Oh, I hear it now. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so
I'm back and I'm more racist than ever.
is it all over your forearm?
Yeah.
It's all over my forearm.
all right.
I was busy making drinks there for everyone.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah,
We
I
missed
hope
you,
you're
bud.
all
Where's mine?
happy. Yeah, we ran out. Sorry. You're fucked.
I don't understand.
We have-
It looked like you made 3 drinks though.
That's all I had left.
Mine's
Okay.
kind of like a half a drink. It's
All right,
we're not
whatever.
missing much.
You want to
This
share it
is
with
off
me?
topic.
No, you need your.
I don't know.
hydration.
I don't
I don't
need
know what
it.
to do
That's
now.
like sad.
There's some that dribbled out on the table
want
that you can feel free to lick.
table martini.
So we have our first cold open with the real James Bond carrying out a real mission, and he's sabotaging some bio. That's right, I've started the fucking podcast, guys. So he's sabotaging some biotech lab or something.
Or something.
It's notable in that last movie we had our first cold open, but it was actually a Spectre cold open with a fake James Bond. Now we actually have the real James Bond in a
This
cold open.
cold open was fucking cool.
It was fucking cool.
This was the first one that was fucking cool.
Oh, he takes out the whole drug operation.
yeah, riff on this shit.
Yeah.
And that's not all.
He comes into this building, right? He kills some
No,
guys.
he doesn't just come in.
He karate like kicks a guy.
He appears from
comes so
beneath
hard.
still waters in the dark.
Oh, with a like a pigeon. What is it? Not a pigeon.
A duck on his head.
A
He's
duck
got like
on
a
his
duck
head,
on
yeah.
duck on his head. It's a camouflage duck.
Oh my god. Duck head hat. Great. Comes
Yeah.
out of the water. He kicks a guy in the face. He sneaks into the factory or whatever it is.
Oh, it has a secret trapdoor.
Right. He
he knows where it
somehow out of nowhere,
dry suit.
he has like this goo. What's that called? The like explosive goo.
Oh, C4.
Is that C4? No.
Yeah. Plastic explosive.
It's a plastic
It's some kind
explosive
of
of some
plastic
kind.
explosive.
Yeah. He rubs his goo all over shit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Some of it gets in his forearm.
Are you pretending to not know it's plastic explosive so you can purposefully
It's
call
not
it glue?
C4.
Goo?
I think we should call
It's
it
an
goo.
early prototype of C4.
Does it look like
It looks
Play-Doh
like-
or clay?
it
or
looks like
something?
thick
it's like in a
toothpaste.
long tube, and he squeezes it.
It
out
looks like toothpaste.
No, it's
Yeah.
not C4.
Yeah, it's not C4. It's some
C4
other
is like
kind
a
of
brick,
explosive.
and
Tell,
Yeah.
it's
tell
like-
him about my dad.
His dad is a pyrotechnic guy.
Oh.
Oh,
lights
really?
shit on
Neat.
fire.
Yeah.
I thought you just took the C4 and you mixed it with like watery C4 and you made like gooey C4.
Or toothpaste.
I think it's all just a form of like black powder or dynamite. And
I gotta
you
be
just
honest.
Put it in different forms.
I don't know
yeah.
for a fact that toothpaste is an explosive. I've never tried blowing it up.
You haven't? You haven't lived.
Maybe it's toothpaste. That's all I'm saying.
Well, it's kind of like every time I open my mouth, shit blows up. So
That's really sad. It's like the poster from the last movie.
no, yeah, that's.
No?
I thought that would sound cool.
So Bond, with the explosive, he blows up this factory, whatever. He goes back to his hotel or whatever, and he finds. In my note, I wrote, finds girl in bathtub. Right? She stands up. She quickly embraces him. Oh, Bond,
They
where have
a-
you been?
They have
see
an
titties?
existing relationship.
Yeah.
No, you don't see her titties. Do you?
No, you don't see any.
Why'd you say yeah?
I didn't say yeah. I was saying yeah to him.
Yeah.
He said they
Yeah,
had a
that she
pre-existing
stands up.
relationship. And I was
Yeah, they have a
agreeing
pre-existing
to that
relationship.
fact. Then a guy who comes out and tries to kill him. Right? He was like hiding in the room or something.
Yeah, he's hiding behind the armoire. I
Yeah.
believe.
Classic.
And he sees he sees the guy's reflection in the woman's eyes
Yeah,
as he's
because they're making
with her.
out.
Oh,
They're
and
making
what
out, and
is-
she
they're
opens
making
her
out?
eyes, and then he looks in her eyes, and then
He turns
sees her
around just in time before the guy whacks him over the head with something, and he clubs the girl.
Well,
Which I feel like this happens in a future James Bond movie. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I feel like he also does this again, where he's like making out with a girl, and he's like, "Holy shit, there's somebody about to murder me!" And flips
Human
around.
shield.
she saw the murderer coming and did
Oh
nothing.
yeah, she was in on it. She was in on it. So
Yeah.
she had it coming, I guess, but it's still kind of awful.
So she gets the
was
beat
trying to
down.
murder
What's her name?
She has no.
We
name.
don't know.
She's nameless booby
Damn, they
shaker.
just
She
disrespect
does
her
have
like
some
that?
very erotic booby shaking
Does she even-
earlier in the dance hall.
She doesn't
thing.
really say much.
No,
I
she's
think
got
that was a
very
different
few
woman
lines.
who
No, that was
in the
the same
dance hall
woman.
is shaking.
That was definitely the same woman.
Oh.
He knows his Bond boobies.
Yeah, I feel like
Okay.
Harris
They're
is on
giving
point
each
with
other-
the details.
They were giving each
and
other the
who's
eye.
who.
They knew each other. But anyways,
He fights with the guy. He pushes him into the bathtub, and then the guy's reaching for Bond's gun that the girl asked him to remove because when he hugged her, she felt it like press against her, and she was like, "Oh, James."
And
take
she
it
tried
out."
to play.
bruise
She
me.
tried to play like she
Yeah,
didn't
so maybe she
understand.
did have
Why
lines.
do you have that? I was
Did
like,
she do the
must have
classic
people are
joke?
trying to murder me.
Is that a gun in
she
your
didn't-
pocket? Or
no,
just happy to
she
see
did not
me?
do that.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think that
no.
joke was invented.
No, she asked him why he wears it.
'Cause, I mean,
she's like
it's-
pretending to not be.
he's wearing
like,
his
trying
gun
to
up
murder her.
under his arm, so if that, I don't think the joke really works there unless he's got a weird penis.
Oh, it's under his arm. Yeah, my
Arm
dick's
penis.
under my arms. It's cool.
Yeah, like, wrap it
This is complicated.
So anyway, he pushes the guy into the tub, and the guy's reaching for the gun, and just before he can kill James Bond, Bond throws a what is
Space
it?
heater, I
A
think.
space heater, yeah, something like that.
And electrocutes the guy, and he says,
Shocking.
Then moments
And then he
later,
looks over at the girl who's like kind of coming to, and he's like, truly shocking.
yes, which is already the best quip from like, that would top any quip from Russia
we're
with Love.
5 minutes into this movie.
We missed an important thing. He came out of the water in a dry suit, and
yeah.
he just unzips it, and he's
He's
wearing
got
a white
tuxedo.
tuxedo underneath.
Yes,
That's player as
pretty
fuck.
dope.
it's
That's
player
super
as
player.
fuck,
This
yeah.
is a very strong opening.
We're 5 minutes in, and like this movie is already
this
as
movie sounds
more dope
so
than the
dope.
last two movies combined. I was hooked.
True. And they clearly knew they had a strong title song because they buried From Russia with Love in the end credits. This one's right up front. They go to the title sequence, and it's Goldfinger.
She's like the woman who's her voice. You can tell she is just really going for it.
Is it Shirley
Shirley-
Bassey?
I don't
Yeah,
know
'cause
how you
she's
pronounce
done-
it.
she's
If
done
it's Bassey or
multiple,
Bassey. We'll get-
She's
She also did Moonraker.
yeah, she did
not the
she
same
multiple
It is the
Bond
same song.
soundtracks. Yeah, she was a fairly well-known singer. That was not exactly like a
She played at the Oscars like a few years ago when Skyfall came out,
Yep.
and what's her name was nominated.
Her voice
wasn't-
sounds cool.
she wasn't like a
got a
superstar
cool
like
voice.
we got later on where like celebrities wanted to do James Bond soundtracks, but she was a well-known performer.
I would say she's
at that
most
time.
famous for this song.
Yeah, and she is most famous for Goldfinger, absolutely. And it is a kick-ass song.
how's it go again?
Goldfinger. And it's
No other lyrics.
You don't
okay.
need to know the lyrics.
and we got a great opening.
Oh,
song.
you've got the Midas touch. That's a lyric.
You've
got the Midas
He's the man with the Midas touch. It's kind of funny how the opening credits sort of evolved little by little. At first, we had like in Dr. No, we had bodies and silhouettes, and then we had projection of the credits onto belly dancing bodies, and now we have all the bodies are painted gold, and we have projections of.
I think it's just one woman actually.
Yeah. It's actually the.
Jill Masterson,
It's not.
Shirley Eaton.
It's Shirley Eaton, I think.
Well, Jill Masterson is her character. Shirley Eaton is the actress's name.
Yes, maybe. No, it's the girl who plays. What is the one who's giving him a massage at the beginning when?
Oh,
Felix
her name is something else.
Gudge or Gidge or
Happy
something.
ending?
Oh, Dink or something.
Dink. Yes,
Dink, yeah,
it's the
yeah,
girl who
Dink.
plays Dink. Okay. Who is, by the way, lots of very attractive women in this movie.
Wait, let's get into that.
Okay,
So,
there's a
hold on.
My guy, go, Matt.
So the beginning of this movie is fucking awesome, right? So we got that cold open, that's great. We got the main title sequence with the Goldfinger song with the projections, whatever. Yeah, I would say that this is now this movie to me feels like they found their
They figured
Stride.
out the
Their
gimmick.
stride.
They
Yeah,
figured out
exactly.
they figured out the points to hit and how to hit them.
yeah,
okay, but
yeah.
there is definite like blonde fetishism in the.
The
action.
first
every
scene
single
is
one
in
blonde.
Miami,
Oh, yeah.
right?
And they're all hot.
They're in a hotel in Miami or whatever. There's tons of hot chicks in bikinis. Like, I think the bikini was like just invented like
Yeah.
that year or something.
Wait, what
right?
kind of bikini?
Like the two-piece.
pointy
French cut?
boob.
Like, up to here? The thongy?
Yeah, I think so.
No, that's like an '80s bikini. That's.
Oh no, I see what you're saying.
This
No.
is like
Full butt?
this is
Full
like the
butt,
low.
yeah.
This is like
Full
the
butt?
low full butt but low hip.
Low rise,
Yeah,
full
yeah,
butt,
low
pointy
rise,
boob.
full
All right,
butt.
Pointy
continue.
boob, pointy
Continue.
boob.
Yeah, you got it.
So like right away, Bond is like flirting with Dink, this girl, this poorly named character. Bucks him blonde, right? And what happens? A guy comes over, and she's like,
Felix Leiter.
Felix comes over, right? And she's like, oh, can I still hang around? And he's like, no, man talk.
Yeah, he
and he
says
slaps her
man
on the
talk.
ass.
Yeah.
Great. This is like instantly womanizing
Sexual
part we've
harassment
been waiting
immediately.
for. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Sorry.
Okay. To me, like, I think James Bond just likes the company of women. It's not about the like male-female power structure dynamic so much as this would suggest. But
when you benefit
I'm not
from the
helped.
male-female-
I'm not helped by like what happens on
When you benefit from the male-female power dynamic, you don't really have to like or dislike it. You can just sort of go with it.
He's just
James Bond isn't
he's
objecting to his
conforming
power
to
dynamic at all.
societal norms, but James Bond actually has deeper feelings for Dink.
So
in my mind.
is there any story thing
James-
that happens after this?
James Bond wants to be woke,
We're
Thinking it out.
introduced
but he's not
to
woke.
Felix Leiter comes up to him and he says, "Hey, there's this guy Goldfinger. You should look out for him."
Wait,
he's
Felix Leiter? You mean Jack Lord from Doctor No?
Oh, no,
absolutely
no.
not. As we covered in our Doctor No,
And I don't
podcast.
like this Felix Leiter.
As we covered in our Doctor No podcast, the handsome and suave Jack Lord wanted a little too much money. He wanted co-star credit. He wanted a lot
EP
of
credit or something?
He wanted, yeah. I don't think he wanted EP credit of this, but he wanted to be billed as a co-star with Connery. He wanted equal billing. He wanted a bigger part, and they basically told him, "This isn't the Felix Leiter story.
What-
We don't need you."
What do you think Connery would have said to him?
Wait, who?
To Jack Lord,
Yeah,
Jack
for
Lord?
saying that, dude. I'm trying to get you guys to do the accent. Obviously, you know what I'm saying.
I don't know.
Matt, pick up your damn mic. This is your job.
Wait, rephrase the question. What is
All right, let's rewind. So, what would
We're gonna
you
need some
think
edits
Sean
here.
Connery would say to him for saying all that crazy stuff about trying to be a co-star and everything?
That's ridiculous.
yeah. Like that.
He wants more money than me? That's ridiculous. Yeah, man. Grow some balls and put a tattoo on your forearm.
They
Guys,
can't
that
all be
wasn't
winners,
that good.
folks.
I give that one out of
One Connery out of 10.
One Connery.
I was too busy pouring myself a drink.
That's a social. We just love a social.
Good try.
But
So
we
what happens
get
next?
one of several every man boring older Felix Leiters who will not upstage Connery.
I
and are
don't
just
like
sort
him
of-
for more than just that.
But
He's also that, but like they also in this one they make his character like more devoted to like ball busting James Bond for being like a liquored up pussy fiend.
Are you kidding me? Jack Lord was breaking his balls every step of the way.
Yeah, but
Jack
Jack
Lord was the biggest
liquored up
ballbuster.
pussy.
But Jack
thing? That
Lord was
sounds
just
raw.
Jack Lord was just like trying to make sure he was professional.
No, this guy-
this guy's just trying to like
This
like
Felix
jab him.
Leiter
Listen-
just has a face
Yeah.
that says, recast me.
For real though.
I would say in this Felix Leiter's defense, Colin, I think you're giving him a bad break because really what he's doing is he's appreciating James Bond for what he is. He loves the man for what he is. It's not that he's
No.
judging him. He's just like, oh, James Bond's got some tail again. That's James. Ha, ha, ha. He's an enabler.
He's judgmental.
He's
an enabler, for sure.
This is an enabler. But
But he doesn't.
the good news,
I
Colin,
like it when Felix Leiter comes through and does like cool shit.
The good
And, like,
news, Colin,
this guy
is
doesn't do that. He's
you don't
just
have to
busting
put
his
up with this
balls
guy
the
for
whole time.
long because he
Yeah.
only has this one movie, and I don't even know his IMDb page is a little scant, so he doesn't have a lot even going on after this. This is his one big shot, and he blew it. So
He wears that
what
hat
she
well.
said.
a little trilby. Yeah, he's wearing a little trilby,
Yeah.
and he rocks it pretty hard. But he is definitely a one-off, one and done Felix.
So in this scene, Felix tells him, yo, there's this new bloke on the street. His name's Goldfinger. You got to watch out for this fat fuck. He is a mastermind. He loves gold, and he's going to kill people.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I just want to point out when James Bond's done with his massage from Dink, what is he wearing? A terry cloth onesie.
No, he puts it on.
He puts it on.
Yeah.
Romper?
He puts
he's
on
wearing
he
a
puts on
romper
a
and
short
it's terry
shorts,
cloth,
a
so
short
it's
shorts,
fuzzy-wuzzy. It's a
short shorts
fuzzy-wuzzy
terry cloth romper. Which honestly, it's not a good look. There's nothing good about it. But
It looks comfortable.
I can kind of see it making a comeback.
pulls it off.
I kind of feel like we got
Yeah,
to.
there's you guys
Connery
know about
pulls
the
it off.
romper,
I honestly
I
thought to
remember-
myself, like, I want
romper?
one.
Dude, I remember watching
No,
this when I
the
was
short
young
shorts,
and
that's
thinking
what we're
like
talking
and
about.
thinking, you get out of the pool and you put that on and it's like made of a towel and it looks like that. Like I don't see why
I gotta tell you,
that's
it's not bad pool wear.
It's not here and
It was
happening
very
now.
classy.
So we're gonna offer terry cloth brompers.
I feel like we should
What
go
was
to the.
Terry cloth brompers. I'm eating Skittles.
I feel like we should
is
go to
it-
the terry cloth romper business.
Is
This
it too effeminate to call it a fuzzy wuzzy romper?
No.
Okay, good.
Fuzzy
Will I be wearing my
Fuzzy
fuzzy
short
romper in
romper?
the scene?
Fuzzy was
Yes.
a short romper.
I demand that I wear it in
Okay,
all
so what happens next?
So he
Okay.
sees Goldfinger. He comes down the stairs and he sits down and he plays cards with this guy. And he asks the guy. The guy's sitting down. And he's
James Bond doesn't do any of this. Goldfinger does.
right.
Yeah,
and Goldfinger says, "Oh, can I sit in my normal seat there?" And the guy's like, "Oh, you with your what does he say? You're like your
Superstitions or whatever, yeah.
So he sits in the seat. He's got
Because this guy's a terrible card player. You know why this guy's a terrible card player? Because if somebody sits in the same seat and wants to do the same things every time and wears an earpiece every time,
means they're
that motherfucker
cheating.
is cheating. It's like, this is card playing 101.
he has an earpiece in his ear that is like
Wearing a
plain
fake
as
hearing
day.
aid.
You can
Yeah.
see
He's-
it. You know.
He's pretending
it's a hearing aid.
But he's not
But it's-
pretending
I mean,
very
fake
well.
hearing aid is-
He's like,
So he's playing the handicap card?
yeah.
Yeah.
He's
That's
like, oh,
fucked up.
I've got this
What kind of
hearing
feeling
aid.
is that?
I've got this hearing aid, and I have to sit in this particular seat and face this direction so I can see nothing in
Yeah.
particular. But so you can be looking in this way. But it's not because I'm cheating. I just happen to win every time because I'm really
Yeah.
lucky.
And
And
they-
the other guy's like, I'm an idiot. So here you go. Have
Yeah.
all
They
my money."
imply he's cheating so bad that it wouldn't even be fun.
Yeah,
You know what I
like
mean?
he just wins every single.
Yeah, like he
fucking hand.
wins
doesn't-
every
doesn't lose a
single
one.
hand.
Goldfinger, by the way, played by Gert Frobe, an actual legit Nazi.
No way.
Really?
Oh, absolutely.
Gert
Yes.
Frobe?
Yeah, and it caused
That's on par with Puss Feller. But that's his real name.
That's his
No,
real
Gert
name,
Frobe's
yeah.
his real name. Goldfinger is.
But Gert Frobe was a Nazi. This was a scandal when the movie came out until some Jewish people said that he actually had helped them, had hid them during World War II and helped them survive. And so they were like, he's one of the good Nazis. And he was very apologetic about it. But
Just hide amongst the gold bullion.
yeah.
he hid them in gold because he's scared.
Also interesting is that he took over the
Method
role of Kommissar Lohmann in the Dr. Mabuse films, which are famous German films. And Dr. Mabuse was sort of a predecessor of like the Bond villain. He was a supervillain in these German films that were originally done by Fritz Lang. And Frobe eventually played his nemesis in many of these sequels that were sort of shitty knockoff sequels. But it was about this supervillain and these police inspectors that tried to, and it goes back to like the silent era, but these all sort of informed the Bond films in an interesting way. So that's kind of a...
This has been.
cool.
No
I
one
also
gives a
read-
shit. Bye.
Busted. What
I
happens
mean-
next in the movie?
I mean, I stopped listening, but it sounded cool.
Okay, great. So
No, I also
more
read-
film trivia. Got it.
I also read that Gert Frobe,
no, you can't stop.
they wanted.
Oh yeah, believe me, I'm not going to.
yeah.
Chris.
No, don't
Jesus,
stop.
this
Don't
is my
stop.
contribution. I don't care how much you people don't care.
Okay, so I also read that they wanted Orson Welles but could not pay him.
That would have been dope.
And
That would have been dope.
And they cast him after they saw his performance as a child molester in the
Whoa.
German film Es geschah Tag.
Nicely done, guys.
very
Can,
good.
can we try to fit as much gold or as much German and gold into this podcast as possible?
Go.
So getting back to the movie.
Okay, so I just want to point out that the first 5 minutes of the movie was you guys were super pumped about. We've gone 20 more minutes now and have not gone any further in this movie.
We're like 10 minutes in now.
All right, we're gonna quickly blow
wait.
through this movie. Ready?
Does anybody remember Connery's sick burn on the Beatles?
Oh, yeah.
What was that all about?
What does he say?
He has this random. He trashes the Beatles for some reason.
He says drinking Dom Perignon above 38 degrees Fahrenheit is like listening to the Beatles without earmuffs.
Yeah.
Burn alert. Savage. True savage.
Fuck you, Ringo.
True savage.
Yeah. Ouch.
Okay, so that
Live and let die.
Okay. So what happens is he sees the whole card game going down. He sneaks up in the hotel, finds where he's got Goldfinger has a spy on the whole situation to, get the other guy's cards.
He flirts with a.
It
maid
happens to
in
be
order to
a
get
beautiful
into the room.
blonde woman. Yeah, he also you
Sexually
could say
harasses a maid.
sexually harasses a maid to
Okay.
get in there.
He said it.
He's like, give me your fucking keys, you maid.
Well, he just kind of sidles up to her and grabs the keys that are
Grabs her by the
He corners her in a hallway and then
grabs
jerks off
her
into
by
a potted
the-
plant.
grabs her by the room keys.
grabs her by the room keys. All right.
But
But when you're a big shot, you can just grab them by the room keys. They don't care.
Exactly.
But you can you can tell that Sean Connery is trying to do it in a not sexually harassing.
You are such a Bond apologist. It's not even funny.
I know. I'm so sorry.
All right, what movie minute are we at right now? Have we gotten past 5 minutes in this movie?
We're 6 minutes in.
We're at least 6 to 8 minutes in.
Right. So he meets her. They're into each other.
Her name's Jill
obviously.
Masters.
Yeah, Jill Masters.
Masterson?
Oh, is she into
Or
James
Masters?
Bond? What a shock. She's a woman. And
Yeah,
she's
they're
into
into
James
each other
Bond. Yeah.
immediately.
Immediately.
Interestingly enough,
She gets
James Bond
her to double
makes-
cross Goldfinger.
makes Goldfinger lose, and then they go back to his room, order a bunch of room service, and start to get down.
Bond goes to the fridge to get something, and then suddenly gets judo chopped.
Yeah, a hard chop right to the neck muscle,
A
just like
judo
one
chop.
chop
Down in a very fake manner.
Gracefully. Sean
Oh,
Connery
there's some
does
great fake falling. In
Sean
this movie
Connery does
later on.
everything gracefully.
There is some great fake falling later.
all-time fake falling scenes in this movie.
I can't wait till we get to that part.
Yeah.
Anyway, he comes to, and he goes in to see if Jill's okay.
Her entire body's painted gold. She's died of skin suffocation.
Which isn't a real thing. Can't happen.
Isn't?
It is a real thing.
No, it actually isn't. I've
isn't?
looked it up. It's not because you don't actually. This was based on a lot of.
But they even say it like they're
Yes.
like really
No,
sure.
no. They did think they were
like you
sure at
have
that
to-
point.
you have to leave a little space of skin at the back.
They thought that your skin had to breathe.
That's
as
what
it-
they say.
I mean, your skin is porous, but that's not how you.
But as
breathe.
it turns out,
You breathe
as
oxygen,
our engineer Chris knows, you breathe through your mouth and
Yeah.
lungs. It's a whole system.
butthole.
Yeah,
You eat through your butthole and put through your mouth.
All right. Well, they imply
it's a
that
whole
taking in
system.
fresh
But
air.
back then they didn't understand this. They thought if your skin was totally covered, your skin wouldn't be able to breathe and you lack oxygen, because people were stupid a long time ago. We're the smartest right now. We're not going to get any dumber.
They imply her skin was painted shut, and that cut off enough oxygen to her body to make her dead. And
Okay, we have to buy it, so keep going.
I mean, I'm sure she was like knocked out in some way
We have
before
to
they
move
did
on.
that.
We just can't. We can't.
Right.
We can't.
So the final scene of the movie.
Yeah, thank you. Fucking
Yeah, so then they're like, he's like, I'm gonna keep following Goldfinger. So he
Does he ever finger Goldfinger?
Only with gold.
No, but you know what is funny? You know what it is funny? Like with finger puns is like what he does to the bomb later on. There's a bomb later, and he's just like fondling the insides of it. 'Cause
We
he doesn't
really
know how
are
to
skipping to
diffuse
the
it.
end, huh?
Yeah, I skipped right to the
So
end.
we going right
That's
to the
like
end?
the very end.
super
I'm so
down.
sorry.
I feel like
Matt's pissed.
I feel like we should hit 1 or 2 points in between.
Okay.
There's not a. There might be a bomb.
So there was a super cool ending. There was room service. There's a gold bitch who died. What happens next?
He goes to M Branch, and
yeah.
Yeah, mainly all you need to know there is
we see Q again.
we see Q. He gives him a bunch of
Oh,
stuff.
this is a good Q one because you go to Q Branch, the place where
actually
you
see
get
Q
where you
Branch.
get the guys like shooting machine guns at each other
It's
and
the
like
first time you see
blowing
their
stuff
lab.
up for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lab is great.
Yep. And they give him a sophisticated car with an ejector seat and machine guns and bulletproof
Yeah.
shit.
The Aston
and,
Martin considered the
and
ultimate
smoke
classic
screen.
Bond
The
car.
ultimate
Oh,
Bond
which
car.
Aston Martin
slick.
is this?
It's like
it's
the DB.
Yeah, DB8,
Seven?
DB7,
Eight?
something like that. It's the 60s one. It's the one that
It's a cute little car.
yeah. And then he's like, "Where's my Bentley?" They're like, well, "You don't have a Bentley anymore."
Fuck your Bentley.
He gives him a tracker, right? Like
Yeah,
a
the
little.
tracker.
It's
Oh
like,
yeah, he
that's
gives
important.
him two
It's like a
trackers,
box
a big one and a little
and
one.
a little one, and the little one is where you stick it wherever, and then the big one tracks it, right?
Stick it wherever.
Stick it wherever.
When you're a big shot.
Oh,
they
the
don't
little
even
one
care.
can go in your shoe though, if you have the special shoe that the British agents have.
Yeah, with like really shitty heels that I can only imagine fall apart all the time.
So he encounters Goldfinger again, right?
At a
Well,
golf
first
club.
he has a meeting with M where they're like, you gotta keep on this guy because we think he's a smuggler and we want to take him down, which is with some important guy in another like tuxedo where James Bond like goes. He like high roads M about being able to taste the brandy better, which I like because that builds up the whole like James Bond has a taste for everything classy and knows about everything.
Yeah, he knows about everything. He's an expert on everything.
But we don't know
brandy.
how. We don't know how.
He's been trained.
Well, he knows. He also knows how to taste a mint julep later. He knows like about
Yeah.
the flavor profile
Oh, yeah.
of that.
He
He
knows
knows
about
multiple
everything.
things about the flavor profile of a brandy
Yeah.
in a casual meeting.
He
about
knows his booze.
do.
The man
tailing a
knows
gold
his booze.
smuggler. Yeah.
Anyways, so then we get to this golf club and we meet Goldfinger and Oddjob. We see Oddjob for the first time. The best Bond henchman ever.
Well,
Is somebody
Oddjob-
somebody gonna fight this?
No,
fight
I
in
will
this?
not fight you. He
Better
is
than-
great.
Better than Jaws. That's basically the top two. Right?
I don't.
Yeah, Jaws
Yeah.
and him are top 2.
Well, I like the Baron.
Oh, I love the Baron. That was my Goldeneye villain.
Yeah,
that was
the
like my
Baron is the
Goldeneye character
best.
every
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But yes, but really, Odd Job, bar none. In my opinion, best Bond villain ever.
Odd Job's pretty scary. Jaws is
Pretty silly.
Well, they sillied him up in his second appearance. He
Yeah.
actually made 2 appearances, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. But all I know is Odd Job's got a badass thing. He's like this. He's first of all,
He's a portly Asian man.
and he's almost he's like as tall as Bond, but he outweighs him by like 100 pounds.
But he doesn't look fat. He looks like strong.
stocky.
stocky,
This guy's ripped. And he's also got this hat with a razor sharp metal brim. It's a bowler. It's like a tall bowler
Which
hat.
he throws like a frisbee, and it like
a top
knocks
hat,
the head off a
bowler
statue.
hat.
But when
it's
he
got a
throws it
round
at a
top.
human
It's a round
being
top?
later, she just passes out, I think. Or does she die?
She dies.
He kills.
She dies?
Yeah, let's just.
Odd Job is a murderer.
We'll get
Let's say we never see what happens.
He even
there.
said,
You know,
but
he
we
kills
said-
little girls like you.
little boys too.
Well, we said we also when we get to that we'll
sorry.
realize that she
I did it
died
again.
because they
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay.
Right.
So let's get to that girl. Her
So-
name's Tilly Masterson.
We're
right?
gonna skip the whole golfing thing where Bond cheats like crazy.
Oh yeah, this scene. That
no,
goes on.
Jesus.
Goldfinger was
Okay.
cheating. Bond just counteracted the cheating.
They go to a golf course, and Bond catches wind that Goldfinger is cheating. Of course, that's like his mo.
Because
right?
he hits a ball in the rough and then he can't find the ball. So Odd Job puts a new ball out there.
he drops it through
Yeah.
his pants.
So Bond is like, he finds a different ball and it's a Schlesinger 7, where Goldfinger's shooting a Schlesinger 1.
Schlesinger won.
Yeah. To hear Connery say Schlesinger is like,
It's like
Just
so many
awesome.
sh sounds.
so anyways, so then he re-switches the ball. So in the end of the game, he's like, oh,
Calls him out on it,
you were using a Schlesinger 1, weren't you? And he's like, oh, this is a Schlesinger 7.
which means you lose the game.
Strict rules of golf means you lose the game. And yeah.
But Bond doesn't even like tip in his last shot. He just picks the ball up. So it's like I don't even know if he lost the game. I don't know. But also
No, he would have lost by 1 stroke unless Goldfinger was cheating.
yeah,
he missed his last
But then
putt.
he didn't even make his last. He never sunk his last ball, so he didn't even finish the hole.
That was a
Anyways,
gimme.
Was it a gimme?
Yes.
I don't know if you get mulligans in a game where you're betting that much money.
Strict rules of golf. No gimmies.
All right.
Okay, so they golf.
So moving on from the golf thing.
So yeah, so in
then
that
they head
time,
out-
he's
they head
somehow
out on
able to
the-
put the tracker on Goldfinger.
Yeah,
right?
and he follows
he
them
puts it in the
They're
trunk.
driving forever. Where do they drive to? They drive from like,
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And while he's driving, James Bond is like this girl behind him driving a Chevy. What do you call it?
No, it's a Ford Mustang.
Is it a Ford Mustang?
Yeah.
I want
okay.
to. Yeah, it's
and
Mustang.
Goldfinger's
out?
driving a vintage Rolls
year?
Royce Phantom, I believe.
What year is this movie?
64.
64.
So that's the original
It's
Mustang.
a pretty tight
Yeah.
Mustang.
The-
Yeah,
the
Yeah, I think
fastback?
they had a Ford endorsement.
Yeah.
So they.
So like
yeah.
they do a Swiss Alps car chase, and it's the Ford Mustang and that Aston Martin, and then Goldfinger's in
like
a
limousine.
vintage Rolls Royce.
That's some heat right there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sick. Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because Odd Job's driving Goldfinger, and Goldfinger's like sleeping peacefully in the back, and then they cut to Bond, and he's been tracking him like all across Europe, and Bond's like looking uncomfortable. It's like really funny because it's like a really weird moment of realism in a movie that doesn't really deal.
He's
with
like
those things.
he's tired of
He's
following
like,
him through the
"Jesus
Alps.
fucking Christ, I
Yeah.
can't believe I've been driving forever, and these guys.
This girl's honking at him, trying to get around him because
like-
she's like
Yeah, the psycho
gunning it.
blonde in a Mustang is trying to get around him. She's like, "Pull over! I'm trying to murder
Bond-
somebody."
He takes himself down. He like talks to himself. He's like, what does he say? He's like, keep it cool, Bond. Keep it cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like he wants to like flirt with this
Oh,
girl like
what
while
does he
driving.
say?
Like
He can't keep the mouse in
He
the
calls
house.
himself 007.
he's like, keep it together, 007.
Yeah.
Oh, was that the first time?
Which seriously, I don't know if that's the first time.
No,
he calls
it's just-
himself.
it's just
that might
funny
be the
that-
first time he calls himself.
that he calls
007.
It's funny
himself?
that when he
It's
talks to
absurd.
himself, he's like using his like designation rather than his own
on.
name.
007? Keep it together.
What's your name that you call yourself?
I got nothing. I don't know.
Anybody?
I mean, full disclosure, sometimes like when I'm feeling, nice, I call myself baby, Let's go, baby. Let's do it.
I gotta say, I only call myself Harris, but if I'm talking to myself, I'm exasperated, so it's a whole different kind of Harris. I'm like, "Come on, Harris, Jesus!" It's really rough.
You got nothing?
I say bro sometimes. I'm like, come on, bro.
Come on, bruh.
I look at myself in the mirror. I'm
I
like,
think I do
bro,
that too.
Come on.
That makes sense. I can see that.
Yeah, all right.
All right.
So we
That's a
got
good
this
thing.
car chase. Does it end
So
pleasantly?
eventually he is staking out. They're on these like winding hills on this mountain, And he is like keeping an eye on Goldfinger, who's several turns ahead. They pull over. Goldfinger pulls over. So Bond pulls over at another turn. And then all of a sudden a shot rings out. And she is up ahead of him.
Above.
And she just barely misses shooting him.
Who's him? Shoots him.
James Bond.
Oh, she's trying to kill him?
Well, the
Well,
shot
it looks
misses
like
him.
she's trying to kill him.
And so Goldfinger hops in his car, and Bond hops in his car, and she hops in her car, and they all they're driving and chasing after each other.
And then Bond blows out her tires, but then pretends like it was like a regular blowout, and he's like friendly. And then she gets in his car, and
Yeah,
he's
classic.
like, you know, what's your name? And she's like, Tilly such and such. But-
Masterson, right? Oh, no,
no,
she says
no,
a
she
different
says
last
she got a
name.
And,
You're
but
right,
her
You're right.
gun case, which he's like clearly hinting that he knows is a gun case, says TM.
the woman who got painted gold's last name was Masterson,
Exactly, Jill Masterson.
and Jill Masterson, and now it's Tilly Masterson.
Tilly?
who's
Who's
with
Tilly to Jill?
Tilly's
Jilly.
Sister.
But yeah,
Tilly,
but you,
Tilly is her sister, and
they don't
she's
tell
trying-
you all this yet. You got to put it together. You got to watch.
You
Well, I'm trying
you learn
to, 'cause I didn't
eventually.
watch the movie.
You learn eventually that she's trying to.
Wait, Chris, did you watch this movie?
Hell no.
She's trying to kill Goldfinger too. But first so now we get James Bond follows Goldfinger to his hideout, and he tracks him to this place where the hideout's full of, it's in Switzerland, but it's
Oh,
full
that
of
place,
Asian
yeah.
henchmen.
Asian
which
henchmen
I assume were
dressed
just
in color-coded Asian uniforms.
The subtitle said speaking Mandarin.
I assume they were just taken directly from Dr.
Chinese, I
No's
guess.
Exploding Fortress.
Yeah.
And brought to Switzerland to work for Goldfinger. And
But we find out how he's smuggling the gold. It was in the Rolls-Royce Phantom.
the Rolls Royce is made
They
out
just
of gold.
melt down the parts and take the gold back out of the
shit.
metal.
Yeah. It's
Okay,
pretty
but I
crafty.
have a question about that. Wouldn't the gold get too hot from the car running?
It's quite malleable.
But it would just
Yeah,
melt.
that's why it isn't a great. Maybe it's just like I think it's just like the body of the car.
like the
I don't know.
body
I think
of the
the
car.
engine is probably still an engine. Maybe I don't know. I didn't.
I
Really,
agree with you, though. I don't think it's practical. I think
I don't think that's the best way to smuggle shit. Is to make it into a Rolls Royce. Like
I don't
my
think it's
cocaine Rolls Royce did not
Yeah.
run well. It was like honestly the worst car ever.
Yeah.
I
I'm
just
sorry
really
about
like
that.
Matt's excitement about getting to say malleable.
it's quite malleable.
That's, how you
That's what he says to
it's
himself
like we
in the
get
mirror.
bonus points for using a word.
Bro, you're
that-
quite malleable.
Gold
bro.
it's soft. It's
Yeah.
soft as shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so this all ends. The shots
Well,
ring out.
So he's
Tilly is dubbed for some reason, but then I think most people
Like
in this
just
movie
dubbed,
are
like ADR dubbed?
Everyone in this
There's
movie is
heavy
dubbed.
ADR in like every exterior scene.
Oh, really?
I
Yeah.
think it's because it's the 60s and it's exteriors.
I don't know like that they got good production sound on these things, and I feel like even Connery probably dubbed a lot of his own lines. Now a lot of these people were foreign, so like Gert Frobe, a lot of his lines were dubbed because he had a thick German
Couldn't
accent. They
understand
couldn't
him.
even understand him.
Okay.
And so a lot of the Bond girls, I don't know about Tilly, but a lot of the Bond girls were like Italian or Spanish or whatever, and so they were all dubbed.
There was a scene. There's a couple of scenes in the movie
with
where I
like
noticed,
Americans or English people doing Spanish or Italian accents.
Well, I noticed that Gert
Do me.
Frobe, like as Goldfinger, is doing a lot of scenes where, like, there's a scene where Bond is watching him or whatever, and he's like showing around the factory or whatever to like an Asian man, and I'm pretty sure it's like a wide shot, and like you could tell that he's not really speaking. He's just kind of flapping his lips. He's just like.
yeah, he's like bop, 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 bop,
Like
but it's-
Godzilla style?
Yeah,
yeah.
and they're just ADRing like lines into his mouth, and it's like not lining
Operation
up at all,
Clown
but-
Slam.
And there's
Coming
a
in
couple
his
of
mouth.
times when he's not even flapping his lips. He's literally not talking. And if you pay attention, he's not saying anything. And there's like dialogue going over it. And you could totally
Oh,
tell.
and anytime he like turns his back, they insert like as many lines as they
yeah, it's
can.
like,
So
oh, and here's the gold ticket.
Is this the third
His performance
instance?
is still really good. Like when they're in the. I'm not gonna.
Oh, he's great, but he's great. But this is not his voice we're hearing.
Yeah.
So, anyways, Bond's staking out his lair, and what happened? Does she take another shot at him? She takes another shot at him, right? From the dark while they're staking out. Like Bond, like waits up all night.
No, she's
Checking the place
she's
out.
she's scoping with the sniper rifle, about to shoot.
Oh.
But then Bond finds her, but then she trips a tripwire.
Oh yeah, right.
yeah.
He grabs her and she like.
So she's about to execute him, but that's going to fuck up his plans. So he tackles her, and then she trips a tripwire, and then everyone's after them.
And he
So
says,
the-
"Why were you trying to shoot me?" And she's like, "I wasn't trying to shoot you. I was trying to hit him."
And then we understand what's going on.
And
that
then he's like,
she's-
"Oh, you're
she's
Tilly Masterson."
Jill Masterson's sister, and she was trying to get revenge for her sister. And they hop in Bond's supercar,
Yeah.
which we know is outfitted with all this crazy shit.
Which
and they
a lot of it we get to see. see here.
Yeah, and they drive like nuts, and they like
The machine guns, the smoke screen.
There's machine guns, the smoke screens. It's a crazy chase.
They knock a car off a
Bulletproof
hill, and it's like a
thingy.
massive explosion.
Yeah, the first crash is good because the guys actually slam into a tree, and the crash looks badass as hell. And like guys are like flying out of the windows and shit. And it's like, oh my god, how many Asian stuntmen do they kill in this?
There's a
thing?
clear difference
Sad.
between this movie and the last two in terms of action.
Oh, yeah.
Like you could tell the director had a little more maybe experience with that sort of thing.
But when that
or-
car drives off a cliff, it looks ridiculous because it does like burst into flames for no fucking reason.
Yeah,
the first
which
car
is
crash is
awesome.
great. The second one's terrible. And then, it is not a good week for the Masterson girls. They managed to disable Bond's car despite everything. He's like, well, Tilly, go run for it. I'll cover you. And she runs out into the woods.
And then out comes Odd Job, and
Throws
he's
his
got
hat.
the fucking
throws his hat, breaks her fucking neck.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because like she's set up like that was kind of shocking to me because I've seen this movie before. I kind of remembered it, but she was set up like she was going to be like a Bond
next
girl and a
Bond
love
girl,
interest
yeah.
and like
She's
be
in the movie
around
for
a
about
while.
5 minutes.
And she is killed almost immediately.
And we at least get to see
And they
that
do
he,
say
like,
she's killed because they go over and they're like, her neck's broke, she's dead.
But they do try to make it look like he cares that these girls are getting murdered.
oh
Right.
yeah, no, he's bothered.
That's how
by
Bond
it.
gets
Here we
caught.
go.
He's like he's standing
It's
over her
true.
body, like looking real sad, and then the rest of the group like goes
Yeah.
around.
So
him.
I have
Like,
a,
oh no, I
have
gotta chase some other tail now.
a quick question to interject. You guys have heard of the movie Master of the Flying Guillotine?
Oh, I've heard of it.
Crickets.
I haven't
Is
seen
that a
it.
James Bond movie? Because I only watched James Bond.
Is it a kung fu movie?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like a similar thing. They have a weapon where like you throw it and it chops off heads. Yeah.
Yes. And the guy's blind.
I've
though.
seen a clip
a
from
little
it.
different.
Yeah,
It's a real like it's real
Well-
Wu Tangy. You guys wouldn't know about that. Anyways,
I've never heard Wu Tang.
exactly. So let's trivia that
I
up.
know what that
fuck
is.
with.
For next episode, somebody look that up to see which movie came out first.
All right.
Master of the Flying Guillotine or Odd Job.
Well, he definitely cuts off the statue's head.
Viewers? What do we call them? Subscribers? Look it up.
Listeners?
Listeners. There you
But
go.
just dedicated fans, people we beg to listen to our podcast. But her head doesn't actually fly off; it just breaks her neck. But it is still a brutal,
Ouch.
brutal death, and he is, unhappy about it. But
So okay,
I'd say he's slightly perturbed.
we are 40 minutes into the episode. What movie minute are we at?
3.
We're like 45
It
minutes.
has to be more
into
than
the movie.
6 because that was
Yeah.
our last check-in.
yeah, well,
I'm going to propel us. Ready? Here we go.
Propel.
All right. He kills Tilly. Odd Job only speaks in grunts. Can someone
Sure.
do his lines? That's all he says.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll say like and then the people like do things.
Oh, shit!
we got a great
hard as
car
fuck.
chase too. Like this is a second great car chase because they get back in the car.
Another
This is
one.
propelling?
Are you propelling?
I know.
You missed the second car chase. When he gets back in the
Busted.
car, he uses the ejector seat.
Wait,
and then
I love this. I love
drives
this.
around the compound.
They capture Bond, right? Did they put him in the back seat of their car? No. They put
let
him
him
in
drive
his
his own
car, and a
Driving.
guy sits in the passenger seat, like holding a gun
What
to
the
him, like
fuck?
you better drive.
And he's driving?
Yeah.
And
This
he
is only
ejects-
done so
So
that
of
he can
course
use
he's
the.
he
gets the
ejector
ejector
seat.
seat.
Such bullshit.
And then they drive around the compound, and it's like this. But first of all, when they pull into the compound, that little old lady like gives them. The
Oh
nod.
my god! I wrote that.
Wasn't
The old lady
funny?
is the best part.
That little old lady was
They
amazing.
go into a compound,
that?
and a little old grandma-looking lady comes out, and she like pushes the
She's
button.
like
and
100
opens the
years
gate,
old, and
right?
she's the guard of the guard shack.
So when Bond, like
Everyone else there is
ejects the
Asian.
guy,
All the
he
other
starts
people that
driving
work there are
crazy.
Asian.
The old lady comes out with a huge machine gun. And she's just like,
Yeah, and she does that cartoon thing where like the gun is pushing her backwards.
yeah.
And then they got
And
this
then we
crazy
never
car
see her
chase
again.
that's all inside the compound where he's like
the
driving around
fuck?
this crazy compound.
I wanna be her
And then
for
at the end,
Halloween.
a car's headed right for him, and he freaks out. And he swerves into a wall and runs into a fucking brick wall and trashes his Aston Martin. And it turns out it was a mirror. And
was
he
a
was
mirror.
like scared by his own headlights.
The only
It's
the only way to beat James Bond and chicken.
another James
is a
Bond.
mirror.
Another James Bond.
Yeah.
so
I'm
they
telling
had
you.
that whole elaborate scene for nothing. He gets caught again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now he gets brought to.
Oh, he's on the table. He's strapped to the
Oh,
table
great.
for the
One of the
laser.
greatest
Is
Bond
the
gags
best
ever.
scene in the movie, and it's possibly the best scene in all of James
In any
Bond.
James Bond.
Lampooned very effectively in The Simpsons.
You've already seen the scene before.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. You
a
can't
guy
not
strapped
see
to a
it.
table and there's a laser gonna cut him in half.
Gotta cut
No,
it.
Mr.
by
Bond.
Stevie?
Dick
And he
first.
says
Yeah,
the famous
first.
line, which we're going to reenact right now.
My favorite line.
Mr.
in all
Bond.
the James Bond franchise.
I expect you to die.
Do you expect me to talk? Do you
No,
expect me to
Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
It's
Just like that.
fantastic. We don't even know whose voice that is, but it's amazing.
Oh, my
no,
God.
Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. It's
Yeah.
fantastic line.
So okay,
How's
so
he get
Bond
out
is
of that?
like what?
How does he get out of that?
So Bond is like, I know about Operation Grand Slam.
Which I missed. How did he know about that?
He
Just heard
the
him say it
phrase.
one
When?
time.
When did he hear it?
During the thing you were talking about with the ADR, where he's like talking to all the the minion guys.
when he was spying on him.
He's like, well, we got to get this ready for Operation Grand Slam.
I must
But
have
it's
missed that.
but it's like for a second it was kind of interesting because they were kind of going against all these tropes of the talking villain or whatever. Because Goldfinger was like that line, no, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. It's such a great line because it's like. Every other time we've seen Bond get captured, it's always somebody's like tells them their plans, or they say, "Oh, I want to recruit you," or whatever. And Goldfinger's like, "No, I know you're fucking
just like,
dangerous.
"Fuck you,
I'm a little
bitch."
eccentric, but I'm just gonna kill your ass because I know you fuck my shit up." And then he says a word, and of course he can't die because he's James Bond, and we're only halfway through the movie. But for a
So how does he
second
get
there,
out
it
of
was
that
kind of
shit?
interesting.
So
He says,
Goldfinger
I know about Project, what is it?
Operation Grand Slam.
Operation Grand Slam.
So because he
Like
knows
baseball?
about Grand Slam,
Yeah.
Goldfinger decides to keep him around as like counterintelligence, as like a hostage.
Yeah.
Because he thinks if he kills Bond, they'll just like swarm him because Operation Grand Slam is a big deal.
because he's taking the risk, like, he can't take the risk that if James Bond knows what Operation Grand Slam is, that means, like, MI6 and possibly the CIA.
Yeah, they'll bring
know
in
what
like
it
the
is
whole.
also. Yeah.
They'll bring in everybody. You know.
Okay.
So he's got to keep Bond like in play and active and looking like he's okay. So he actually takes Bond on his private plane.
Flown
He
by
drugs him and he puts him on his private plane, flown by
Pussy Galore.
Pussy Galore.
Ooh, there's another
This
good
is
name.
Honor Blackman. In her, she actually quit she was the original female Avenger on the British TV show The Avengers, which was like not a superhero show, but it was kind of like a spy show. And she was like the original leather-clad hot chick on that show. She actually left that for the James Bond movie. She was replaced by Emma Peel, Diana Rigg,
Diana Rigg, yeah.
Emma Peel, who was actually much more famous.
And Diana Rigg became a James Bond girl later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually Game of Thrones actress in her later
Now,
years.
Speaking of Pussy Galore, I told my wife earlier that when she was making me a martini, I said, if you were a Bond girl, you know what your name would be? And she said, what? And I said, Pussy occasionally.
Man, how did that work out for you after you said that?
We're getting a divorce.
I'm sorry, bro.
Bond's got a great line when he wakes up on the plane and is introduced to Pussy Galore. Not the Pussy Galore line, but he says, I thought I'd wake up dead, which I think is like a hilarious and fantastic James Bond line.
So he says, who are you? And she says, Pussy Galore. And what does he say?
I must be dreaming. Yeah, because they really lean into
scumbag.
those.
I'm sorry.
They really lean
What a
into those
scumbag.
terrible puns.
He was dreaming.
Yeah.
About Pussy Galore?
Also, when he's on the plane, he's got a 5 o'clock shadow, which in real time it only took Connery 45 minutes to grow. They actually had to shave him between takes. His hirsuteness was
kidding me.
legendary. Yeah, they
kidding me.
Yeah, it was. Is
that true?
Dead serious. Sean Connery could grow a beard in a day. So and they actually
Well, that makes
shaves.
sense. They're flying from Switzerland, and by that time they're over Newfoundland. So that's like what, 18
Not to mention
hours?
he spent the previous
Less,
night in the
12,
woods.
10, 8.
So for James Bond, it was like 3 days. For Connery, it was like an hour.
All right. In the airplane, there's an Asian stewardess. Her name's Mai Lee. She asks him if he wants a drink. He says a martini, shaken, not stirred. It's possibly the first time he says that.
Bingo!
Bingo. All right. Bond gets taken to Goldfinger's stable, I put.
In exotic Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
But they hit all the
It's called a stud ranch.
They hit all the
Stud Ranch.
they hit all the Kentucky trademarks. They got horses, bourbon, Fort Knox. They do the whole Kentucky thing, like everything you know Kentucky for.
even when Felix Leiter is like spying on them from like down the road, they're like camped out at a Kentucky Fried Chicken.
And Kentucky's a beautiful place to shoot.
wow.
Fried
A
chicken, you're
KFC,
right.
yeah.
I have shot a movie in Kentucky. It's a wonderful place to shoot.
Bond overhears the
clouds look
bad
really
guys
good.
talking. Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
a beautiful place.
Goldfinger has a big meeting with like New York gangsters or something. Like I don't know.
all the gangsters
What?
from all over the U.S. All the crime lords from
All
the
the
entire
mafia
United
shit?
States.
not New
Yeah.
York. They're everywhere. That's why they're fighting. All the
I love all
wise
their,
guys are like
slang.
Yeah,
that
one
they
guy
use.
says, "I don't do business with Chicago."
yeah. They got the Chicago, the Vegas, the West Coast
Capone?
gangsters, the whole thing. They don't name any of them, but they're basically all those guys.
One of them has a name.
They're all in
'cause
Gold.
he- yeah.
They're all in Goldfinger. I mean, they don't name them like they're not
Yeah,
like
right.
famous gangsters.
Right,
but
right.
They're all in Goldfinger's rec room with his pool table that transforms.
Which is a great
into this,
set.
like,
It's a great
totally
set. It's
awesome
a giant,
console.
Okay, so Bond, like a lot of these early movies, have these great giant sets by this guy Ken Adam, the production designer.
Who is back for this movie? Yes,
He's famous for making like some of the more iconic sets, and like you can always tell they shoot it with like the most wide lens you could possibly.
because they want to
have.
see everything.
They're
'cause
just
it's
huge,
It's
yeah,
awesome.
and they're awesome, right? So this one, like everything in the room, he pushes a button and like it transforms into something else. So he's got this pool table that flips over to be like a control board, and then he has like another thing, and like a thing rises out of the ground, and it's
turns into like a map of Fort Knox, like a model
Knox.
of Fort Knox, and all the and when they're doing this, all the all the Guidos in the room, forgive the expression,
Hey.
but that's the characters that they are. They're all yelling these like totally corny lines. They're like, "Hey, what gives? Oh, what's with that wacky pool table? Why I oughta?"
exactly. That's what I'm
it's
talking
over the
about.
top. It's like funny.
They're saying all that stuff.
That's heavy.
So then he explains his whole plan to them, and he says like he owes them all $1 million. They're there to collect.
His monologue of explaining the plan is really good. It's like, when my bank opens tomorrow, the banks don't open on Sunday. My bank does. And
so his plan is to knock off Fort Knox, and he wants all these guys to get in on it with him. And he basically says, "Are you in or are you out? This is your last chance, and I'll give you your money and I'll send you on your way. But if you stay with me, I'll give you like way more."
he owes them all money for parts of the plan.
Yeah.
He always owes them all $1 million, but he says if you stick with me, then tomorrow you can have $10 million.
Yeah.
And doesn't he electrocutes one of the guys right there in the room, right?
No.
No.
One
Oh,
guy says,
one guy says no.
I want my money now. I'm
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
I don't want to do this.
Yeah. One guy takes off.
He gets the best thing, the best death ever.
The car
Odd
crusher
Job
in the Lincoln Continental.
drives him, and then he pulls over into like some back alley, and he shoots him. And then he takes the car to like a, what do you call it?
Car
Car
crusher.
crusher.
Yeah.
A car crusher.
Which was like new technology at that time, I think.
Yeah.
Must have been.
And they crushed the car into the cube.
Into a cube. And then a magnet picks it up, and it drops the cube into the back of a pickup truck, which Odd Job then drives back to the compound.
Yeah, back to the compound.
But we haven't even gone over.
Because they have to, because he gave him gold, so there's a little bit of gold in the like
And they have to
crushed
get the
down
gold
car
out.
cube. They have to like pick the gold back
Gotta
out.
get it back.
But first, Bond is captured this whole time, and he's in a cell under the stables, and he's wearing a really nice 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
They gave him this 3-piece suit that's like really.
I thought that was in
tailored.
his bag.
Yeah, it's tailored. Oh yeah, it's like a Savile Row, like really nicely. I don't know about the knit tie, but I love the suit. Anyways, he's in this jail cell forever, and how does he get out of the jail cell? It's slightly better than kicking the grate in Dr. No, but it's almost as stupid. The old elevator trick. He's looking at the guard, and then he just sinks to the floor like he's going down an elevator, and the guard's like, "Where did he go?" and opens the door, and Bond is hanging from the ceiling above him and drops down and kicks his ass and gets out. I swear to God, this is a good movie. This is the second worst part of this movie is how he escapes from that jail cell. Anyways,
What
And
movie?
then he later sees Goldfinger outside, and he's like, I thought you were in your cell or whatever. And he's like, what does he say?
No. They bring him outside because they find out Felix Leiter's
find out
watching
the
them.
CIA is watching them, so they want to show up that Bond is okay. So they bring him outside. and they
Pussy
act like
Galore
he's
is the
like,
one who
yes.
finds him spying on
Goldfinger and hearing
from
all the secret plans.
beneath the little
Oh, yeah,
model
yeah,
Fort
yeah,
Knox.
yeah, yeah.
So he hears all the secret plans. Pussy Galore catches him. He kicks a bunch of other guys' asses, but then Pussy Galore catches him, takes him to Goldfinger, and they're like, "Oh, let's put on a show and make him look like he's having a good time."
Pussy Galore's got like great judo moves. He like
She's got great
compliments her.
judo moves, and
Yeah.
she puts on a hot dress. At
She is a strong woman.
Don't get me started.
She is the captain
guys
of her.
breakdance fighting?
She is a lady pilot
should probably
who is
settle
the
with
captain
breakdance
of an
fighting.
entire flying circus of lady pilots.
Of lady pilots.
who are going
Hot,
to
blonde
the
lady
plan
pilots.
is to poison all the guards at Fort Knox with this airborne toxin.
What do they call it?
It's the gas. It's something with a D.
Yeah, it's like Detox 9.
But he says that it's going to knock the guards out, but in reality, it kills everybody.
Operation.
And James Bond knows this, and he tests it out on the mobsters. All the mobsters that agreed to go along with his plan stay in the room, and they all get gassed to death because they're the dumb mobsters, but also the mobster who left is a dumb mobster because he gets crushed into a cube.
So
all the mobsters are dumb mobsters.
none were left to help.
Yeah, so none were left to help, but he didn't need their help. He had a whole plan.
And there's a whole thing. The guy that got crushed in the car crusher, Bond plants the tracker on him. So Felix Leiter has to like come out of the KFC and stop slamming chicken tenders.
Yeah, the CIA is seriously. The CIA is legit just hanging out at a KFC, like an old school KFC. That's like where their
Fuck.
base of operations is. They're hanging out in a KFC parking lot, and then they check in on Bond every once in a while.
Parking
when the
lot
tracker
pimpin'?
moves. Yeah, it's pretty hilarious.
So what movie minute are we at, guys? We got 7 minutes.
Oh,
to finish, wrap
we're
this
very
up.
close to the end.
There's like 20 minutes left.
Goldfinger's first name, what is his first name?
Auric.
Auric, right? So everything's
like-
like Auric Industries.
AU is the
Which is weird.
periodic table for gold because
gold?
it's like the old Latin word for gold
Yeah.
is like
Brilliant.
Oro is in Spanish.
Oro, yeah.
Anyway, I noticed that they. It's one point in the movie they have like a spectrometer. Is that even the right word? Like the thing that measures radioactivity.
Yeah.
It's called the Auric spectrometer. Like he owns the company that makes the radioactive.
He's a great villain. They really I read that they were trying to make Bond a little less superhuman and make the villain more,
menacing.
Menacing.
I think it's a Geiger counter.
Geiger counter.
Anyways, the CIA and Bond sort of let Goldfinger pull off his plan. He gets to Fort Knox. He goes in there and he's going to put Bond in there.
So when the planes fly over, they unleash the gas, and you see the entire military base in several shots. Just a bunch of army guys like doing like normal like military base army stuff,
around,
and then they just like fall down slowly.
It lasts like 5 minutes of like these army guys falling
just
down.
like shot after shot of them just like doing army stuff, and then like.
It's exhausting. I wanted to collapse
But it
into
seems
it.
Just lay down.
If
It's
you were
hilarious
filming it,
looking.
you would say to them like, "Okay, 1, 2, 3,
And
fall."
lay down.
Yeah, but they were like it just
One,
seems like they were like 1 and then
three,
just fell.
That was- and, you
lay
know,
down.
Like they couldn't wait to lay down.
And that was like the same 20 actors. They just kept on moving them around and put them in different
so
uniforms. That was like the same guys. They were just like, and you're dead.
Like it's one of those things. If it was like just a visual silent behind, like if it was on like a bar or something where the audio was different, it'd be so funny because it's just like they're just like marching around or like doing the ropes course, and then they're like and fall down.
So Goldfinger's whole plan is not to steal the gold for Fort Knox, which would be impossible because there's too much gold. His
too
plan
heavy.
is he's going to set off a dirty bomb in Fort Knox, and he's going to irradiate the U.S. gold supply, making his own gold more valuable because there'd be less of gold.
That's
the gold in the
heavy.
world.
It's genius.
Yeah, so it's genius, and the CIA lets him get this far, and then he breaks into Fort Knox. He actually
in the bomb.
plants the bomb in Fort Knox, puts it down there in the elevator. Everything's going according to plan, and then the CIA reveals
They
that
were faking it.
They were faking it. There was no poison gas. Everyone in Fort Knox is awake
Because Bond had sex with Pussy Galore.
because
and
Bond
she changed her
we
mind.
missed the whole.
Yep.
Okay, so let me just go back to this.
Right, it all
Can
comes
I
down
go
to
back to
sex
this?
with
Can I go
Bond.
back to the sex with Pussy Galore scene?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a little rapey.
describe
It's
it.
not.
It's in a barn or
It's
something?
super
Yeah.
rapey. So basically, they're in a barn, and she's like, "I've given you the tour." Like she's supposed to be like making it look like he's having a good time for the CIA, and then she's like, "All right, we've had enough of the barn tour. Let's get out of here." And he's like, "No, stay in the barn. Let's." Fuck in the barn, and she's like, no, I don't want to fuck you. So he starts manhandling her, and she's like, no, and she like judo flips him.
Yeah,
he's
he's
like,
like,
oh, I
judo
got judo
flip.
flips
Oh, I
too.
do
So he
judo
judo
flip.
flips
I'll
her,
do a
and
judo
then she
flip.
judo flips him,
That's the
and then he
foreplay?
grabs her
And
down,
then they get in
that's
the hay,
foreplay.
and they
and
wrestle
then they're in the
around.
hay, and he's
like,
trying to
force kisses
he's
her.
trying to make out with her. He is trying to make out with her, and she is legitimately like, she's like, no, fuck no, get the fuck away from me. What the fuck are you doing? And then eventually,
But he still slips
and then
it
eventually
in.
she's like, okay, Harvey, go for it. Do your thing,
Harvey.
And she just like she closes her eyes and accepts it, and it goes easier for her. But somehow he fucks goodness into her because instead of going along with the evil Goldfinger's plan, she ends up calling the
switches
CIA. She switches the gas. She doesn't gas the people. She calls the CIA. She warns them.
Damn.
And
She didn't know that she cared about people like that until she
Until she
realized
got that
like.
sweet, good
yeah,
Connery will.
yeah. It's
But like, see, like it is like the scene's pretty
awful.
gross. The scene's pretty gross.
there's
but
no.
I like to think that like
Okay,
James
what do you
Bond.
think? Okay.
I want to hear this defense because this is like I think this might be the rapiest
This is gonna be the
scene.
biggest stretch,
I
yeah.
think this is the rapiest scene in all.
This is probably
Bond
my
movies.
biggest stretch of like
Defense
James
attorney
Bond
of
apology.
James
Okay.
Bond, go.
All right, James Bond, like he doesn't want to be that like forceful and aggressive, but he has this like sense about him.
He knows his dick is magic.
Like, to where like he
I
can
do
cut
too.
he can cut through to see like her true self is the one that wants to like do it and care and stuff.
Do it and care and stuff.
Pathetic.
Can we have a Connery accent recap of that?
It's all over my forearm.
Look, that's what I like to think. Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay?
is.
Stop teasing me, okay?
This is. Listen,
Pushy. Where
I'm feeling a little bullied right now.
listen, everything changes. Opinions change of what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable. At some point in history, raping Pussy Galore was acceptable, and that's when this movie was made.
So,
It
okay.
is definitely.
It's because
it does not
like
age well.
the 60s.
Pushy, we're in a barn. Should we fuck like animals?
It would be
Nice.
different today. It would be different.
So this is the third or fourth, I think fourth offense.
fourth time he's done some.
Because so we had
Man
Yellowface.
should be behind bars.
Oh God, yeah, no, it's
No,
if you're just going with the movies
franchise.
and how
No,
the
the
movies
franchise.
are not
movies,
politically
yeah.
correct. I
Yeah,
think
they're
we're
bad.
way more than
They're really
four.
bad.
There's
More than
there's
four?
a lot of
Yeah.
There's just a lot of insensitivity to
Yellowface,
to-
Nazis,
Yeah.
rape.
There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's
Okay.
and his treatment of women and the series treatment of ethnic minorities is troubling to say the least. And
It does
So far
over
the-
time changes are made.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
But
Like
so far, the Pussy Galore thing, this is my only real complaint. Goldfinger is an excellent movie, but that scene, it's hard not to watch that scene in this day and age, or even 10 years ago or whatever. I know we're becoming woker all the time, but I don't know if there was a time in my lifetime where you could have watched that scene and been like,
That's acceptable.
yeah, that's okay for him to just keep on kissing her when she clearly is like saying no so many times. Like it's really
Yeah.
and then
it
she
should have been done differently. They
then
could
it's
have
like a
still
night and day Pauline
If it was
conversion.
made
She's a
today,
different
they could have
person.
still like started out adversarial and then developed
They
something
could do
else.
it like a mutual flirting,
Or
and that
turned
she's into
into
it or whatever.
consensual,
Yeah.
but it
yeah,
never
that
really
she was
turned
like
into-
open
but
to
their
it.
even just set
perception of
her
that
up.
in the 60s was not good, I don't think.
Like,
They set her up sort of as like she's a villainous character. She says to him like, "I'm immune to your your."
Yeah.
She doesn't want to do
whatever.
bad things. She's just greedy and selfish.
They
And-
could have set her up like where she's a character that you believe could, she has some good in her,
Right.
Some,
And in a way, it's sort of motivated. There's a scene where Goldfinger is like saying, like, when the plan works, are you gonna like come with me? And
Yeah.
she's like, no, I'm gonna go buy an island because she's not into him. So like, you get this sense that like there are like besides James Bond, there are people who there's this sense that they want to like buy women, like because he's paid her everything
Yeah.
to make her who she
Oh,
is.
so he was with. I mean, sorry, she was with Goldfinger.
But she wasn't.
before Bond?
and we saw Goldfinger pay this woman to like just like cheat at cards.
Yeah,
she
was working for Goldfinger.
We
but
basically seen him like have
you don't
prostitutes
think that
already
she-
that he doesn't have sex.
we got the idea that Pussy Galore sort of was not into him. She's got this squadron of female flying women. She's very like female
Why didn't
empowerment.
you guys say that before?
I
did.
did say that.
Yeah,
I
we-
said that.
But she is very like feminist, I think, in a lot of ways, and she's a very strong character up until Bond overpowers her and has
Yeah.
sex with her.
But you don't think that Gold fucking finger
Goldfinger
whatever the
fucker,
fuck- yeah.
that's,
that he wasn't hitting that shit before?
I think he might
No.
have tried, but I think
But
she
his-
was stronger than Goldfinger.
But
She
they
just
paint
holds
him.
Goldfinger is
They
not
paint
an
him as the
attractive
kind of
man.
guy
He's
who's
an
like he's going to
overweight
keep
dude.
throwing
Trump is
money.
not an attractive man.
He's going to keep throwing money until like it's like they're overpowered by that.
Yeah, I think she had.
That's how they portray Goldfinger.
Yeah.
Someone talk about the ending. Let's get to that.
Yeah. So-
the CIA starts coming in. They start coming on everything.
The bomb is about to go off. James Bond is trying to disarm the bomb. He and Oddjob are locked in this vault with all the gold.
Oh no,
where this dirty bomb is going on.
we have to
Can
describe
we
this
skip
better.
back to? Can we?
Oddjob, there's one gangster
Oh, I don't
who
get
stuck
this part.
around.
Oddjob and the other guy, and Oddjob kills him because
Yeah.
he's that loyal to what?
No, because so
plan?
they're in like the safe, in like the area where the gold is kept, but
The
it's like
vault.
protected
Yeah,
by
the vault.
That's the word. Yeah, they're in the vault,
Words.
You're in a safe place.
and the vault door closes and locks them in, and like it's Oddjob and this one Italian gangster guy.
Another
And
hint.
James Bond.
Another. Okay.
And James Bond, but James Bond is like in a lower area.
he's
And
locked to the
he's
bomb.
locked
He's
to the bomb.
handcuffed to the bomb.
That was like Goldfinger's plan. He kept Bond around all this time so that he could blow
Just
him
to blow
up.
him up with an atomic bomb, which seems like overkill until
Atomic,
you realize that, which until you realize that Bond is invincible. And
It's
then
a dirty
like,
bomb
yes,
because it
would have to be
irradiates
a
all the
dirty bomb.
gold, so that the U.S. can't use gold for 58 years.
Okay, so
Dirty as fuck.
So
All right, go, Matt.
the vault door closes and the Italian mobster is like, "Oh,
I'm
going
going to disarm this fucking bomb.
Yeah, fuck this!" Like, and Oddjob is like, "No," and he grabs him and he kills him. He pushes him off the like a ledge and he falls 3 stories and he
And the
dies.
guy even says something like, "What the fuck are you
Yeah.
like fighting for here?"
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I'm paraphrasing, but
What is like? How did Goldfinger
Convince?
inspire that kind of loyalty in Oddjob? Is it that Oddjob really doesn't know what's going on that much? He only knows that he's paid to like do.
well, Oddjob's got some of this like that's another one of the.
or does he like? He really cares about this like
No, I think it's a
Quest.
kind of a
What is the quest, though?
standard.
Just to make Goldfinger more rich.
Yeah, make Goldfinger rich. I think it's a
It would
standard
change
sort of.
the world economy, though. Like it's supposed to change like the West East, because it's still Cold War times. So it's
Okay.
like going to cripple the West because
And
like
Oddjob
all of
is
America will be
Japanese,
financially crippled.
I don't know what he
He
is.
looks like Filipino.
Oddjob's Korean.
Or...
He says he's Korean.
He's
He
Korean.
says,
You're
he
right.
says
They
he's
do say
Korean.
that.
He actually is, I think, Hawaiian or something.
RL.
The
Samoan,
character is
something like
Korean
that.
RL
though, because
signs.
Goldfinger says
Character's Korean.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like it's one of those like he's like the savage brute. He's like he's not as smart as the like it's a similar
okay,
James Bond
so
trope.
We'll
of
have
this-
to come back to that because there's no real motive behind that. It sounds like.
Yeah, it doesn't
it's-
really make sense.
Yeah,
But
it's either he hates the West really bad.
or
But
he
what
loves
is he gonna
Goldfinger
die?
so
What is he
much.
gonna? You said if it's the Cold War, then what does that have to do with?
Korea,
You have to
yeah.
either believe he hates America so bad he's willing to die, or he is so inspired by Goldfinger because he's not very smart and doesn't exactly know what's going on, but
Which
only
is sort
knows
of
he's
how
paid to.
That's
like,
how they play
kill.
it. Is that
So, but-
he's
okay,
just
'cause
a big
there's-
brute who doesn't
yeah,
know any better,
there's
and he's just like,
characters
whatever
like-
you say, boss. Like
Yeah, there's characters like that a lot in movies, but is that really
it's not a.
believable? And the fact that he's a minority.
It is definitely
is that
not a great
another
character, and I think
James
it's.
Bond?
I think it's tied directly
Yeah,
into
that's
that.
another. Yeah, that's another.
Not a great show.
So the
for that.
gangster falls to the ground, and Bond looks at him and immediately zooms in with his eyes on his
He's got the
shirt
keys.
pocket. He's got the key.
He's
to
got the
cuff.
keys to the handcuffs.
So Bond
unccuffs
starts dragging
himself.
the bomb, and
The
like
bomb's on like a big cart, which seems funny to me.
yeah,
It's like a big hand cart.
This is what Bond is doing. So he has to go down 3 flights of stairs to like get there before him. So it's a race. He's like going down the stairs. Bond's
Okay.
dragging this bomb, trying to get to the key. He finally gets to the guy's shirt. He rips it open. He gets the key and he opens the handcuffs just as Oddjob gets there. And they
Throws
get
the hat.
into a fight. Yeah, he throws the hat.
Yeah.
Tucks under it.
And they cuts an electrical wire loose when he misses Bond there, and then they have like a judo fight where they're throwing each other all over the place.
And
And,
then
Bond does okay,
gets the hat.
despite the fact that like
He really gets
he's
thrown around,
He's
though.
a skinny. Oddjob can throw him around easily because Connery's like a little taller, but like totally thin.
He does this
and-
one move where he like lunges at him, but he like jumps off the wall.
Yeah,
he
he
jumps.
does like a
he jumps forward
jump
at him head
lunge.
first, but past him, and then wraps the arm back around to try to put him in a headlock in
Yeah.
a jump headlock move.
Like a
Wait, who's he?
backwards headlock.
It's bizarre.
Connery jumps
does
at the
that?
guy and
Yeah,
tries to jump headlock him.
It's bizarre.
Is he successful or not?
It's not as good as the fight with
he's not
Grant
strong
in
enough
From
'cause
Russia
he's
with
so-
Love.
He's so big that the neck muscles, he can't get the good headlock hold.
Well, so the move is that Bond gets the hat, and like you see Oddjob, and he's like,
Oh shit! He's gonna
shit, yeah,
kill
he's
me
got-
with my own fucking hat.
right. And
low.
so they make a big moment out of it. Bond throws the hat, and he misses. He ducks,
And it hits the
gets
metal-
stuck in the bars. Like
metal
there's, like,
bars.
metal bars
and
all
Bond
over the
uses a
place.
different throwing style if you're into ultimate frisbee.
Yes,
He does.
I
Yeah,
am.
like
He
this.
does a forehand throwing style. Yes.
And so Oddjob looks at him like, "You fool, you missed me.
I'm gonna grab
I'm
this
gonna
fucking
get
hat
my
and I'm
hat."
gonna
And
kill
so
the
he
fuck out
goes
of
and
you,
reaches for it. At the same time, Bond grabs the open like live wire, electric wire, slides, and he sticks it on the bars just as he touches the hat, and it like electrifies him.
Oh
you know?
shit!
Yeah.
But now
Like
Bond's got
Blanca
to
from Street
defuse
Fighter?
this. Bond's got to defuse this fucking bomb that's going to go
Yeah.
off in seconds. He's got like a minute left, and
He
meanwhile,
uses gold bars to open the.
Yeah.
He hammers it open with a gold bar.
meanwhile the CIA's outside. They're killing all Goldfinger's people. Goldfinger strips down his clothes, and underneath he's got this general's uniform, an American
Gold
general's
Hill?
uniform, and he's like,
he's pretending to be with the
and he-
Americans.
and he starts shooting his own guys, and he's like, "Get these motherfuckers!"
Colin
I'm
brought
part
up a
of the-
good point before the show. What did you say?
Yeah, and he's still got the accent though.
Still got the thick German
He's
accent.
just like an
He's like-
American general.
He just walks out and he's like, get him, but like,
Get them in there.
Shit.
And so he gets away, but eventually the CIA breaks in, and James Bond, with like seconds left, he's like, he doesn't know what to do. He's like tugging on all these wires in this bomb, and he's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? What the fuck am I? He doesn't want to pull any of them. And then finally he's like, fuck it, I better just grab one of these motherfuckers because there's only like 7 seconds left. And he grabs one, and he's about to yank it, and all of a sudden one of the CIA guys grabs him. He slaps his hand away. He's like, get the fuck away from that. And he pulls
just
a different one.
He just clicks a switch or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, clicks a switch and
and
it's-
the timer stops at 007.
Which is a
there's
nice
7
little-
seconds left.
Which is a nice segue to.
How do we rate this movie?
Yep.
Wait, we have the ending. We have to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
and,
we
some-
don't have
and
to
somehow,
talk
and somehow
This is the
you
part I
guys
don't like.
Somehow you guys don't have a problem with this fake ending.
I do. I don't like this part. It's like they should have just ended it.
James Bond gets into a plane to go home.
Okay, Felix Leiter busts his balls for like the whole walk over to this plane. He's like, "Well, you get to meet the president. Get on the plane." He gets on the plane. Guess who's there?
Goldfinger. And
'Cause
Pussy
they
Galore.
Didn't show like the
They didn't
real
take the time
pilots.
to
They're
catch
tied
him.
up.
They didn't take the time to catch him,
And
even
it's
though
just him. How did he overpower 3 guys and tie them up?
he has a golden revolver.
And Pussy Galore, who, by the way, just about kicked James Bond's ass, and she can't kick fat ass Goldfinger's ass. Bullshit. Anyways,
True.
They set up earlier in an early scene that when he was in a plane with Pussy Galore, she pulls a gun to him and he says, "You better not fire that because if you hit if you shoot that in here, it's gonna
depressurize and we'll all get sucked out.
Right.
And then Goldfinger pulls a gun on him, and he basically is just like, "Fuck that shit." And they get into this fight, and Goldfinger shoots the gun, and it blows out
Hits
a
the
window.
window.
Yeah.
Goldfinger gets sucked out.
He gets sucked through the window.
Bond does not.
Like
Yeah.
Alien?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Bond doesn't.
because Goldfinger's like a little chubby,
Portly?
and then
stuck
he's going
like
through,
Winnie the
the
Pooh
little,
for a second. He's got a Winnie the Pooh moment.
Winnie the
little
Pooh
purple
moment?
window.
Yeah, and then he gets sucked out. And then Bond eventually the plane drops enough so it's pressurized again, and he goes over the cockpit, and he and Pussy are pulling on the
He and Pussy are doing
pulling
what?
on the, what do you call it? The
yoke.
Yeah, they're both pulling on the yoke.
YOLK.
They're pulling on the yoke pretty hard, and
they're both pulling on it
And
pretty
then
hard.
and then it looks like and they're watching, the CIA is watching it on the radar, and the plane crashes, and they're like, "Oh fuck, Bond's dead." But then they notice that a little parachute, which I don't think would show up on radar, but anyways, it shows up on their radar. A parachute comes out, and it's Pussy and James Bond,
They say, "What happened to Goldfinger?" He says, "He's playing his golden harp."
which is
Yeah.
not great.
That one's the worst
That's
joke.
a little
That's not a
forced.
good one, yeah.
Little
I
forced.
thought it was good.
But they're about to get rescued. They're about to get rescued by the CIA rescue plane, and James Bond is like, "No, fuck that! I've got you here to myself." And he wraps Pussy Galore into the
fucks her
parachute,
again?
and he fucks her again.
Yeah, he's like,
whether
"We don't
she
need to be
likes it or not."
rescued, and
Yeah,
then
she's
they-
like, "This
This
is no
time I
time.
think she likes
This
it.
is no time to be rescued."
That one looks a little more
He
playful.
does that all the time,
Yeah,
huh?
I guess all
Every
the time
movie
in the
ends
world.
with him banging a girl.
Yeah, because
Just
he's
about.
got to go back to work then. You know.
What kind of like adrenaline rush?
And
fuck.
And now we got a James Bond will appear,
And they're
in-
again fully clothed.
in
Thunderball.
Thunderball. Although
yeah.
originally when this came out, it was James Bond will appear again in On Her Majesty's Secret Service, but they had some legal problems with that, so they ended up not making that movie next.
The one I watched said Thunderball.
Yeah, they all say Thunderball now, but they had they changed that while it was still in theaters. Actually,
Really?
yeah. Originally, the original Prince in theaters said On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Wow.
Little bit of trivia from Internet Movie Database, which
Thank you.
anybody can look.
So
on.
now, starting
How do
with
we rate
Matt,
this?
how do we rate it?
I think I give this the Ocho.
Ocho out of
Ocho
Ocho
O's.
07?
Ocho 07. This is a solid movie. It's not perfect, but by golly, it's a good one. It hooked me from the first minute of the movie. Like the first two don't hold a candle to this one, I think.
I agree.
Well said, Colin.
Eloquent.
Ocho 07?
No, I
for
mean, I
coming.
had problems. Obviously, we
The
don't
rape
wanna-
scenes.
We don't want to. Yeah.
Well, he had probably had more problems with this. So what 7 do you give it?
I think I would. It's tough because there's. I don't know.
We will agree on one movie. I can't wait for that. When we
Just
all
give it a
rate
damn
the
rating. I'm
same.
ready to talk again.
I doubt it. Give it a number. You're not right or wrong. It's just
You're probably wrong.
Do you give it more than 8?
No, I don't. I
less-
wouldn't give it more than 8.
Do you
Less
give it
than
less
8?
than 8?
You gave Dr. No a 7. So.
See,
You gave From
kinda-
Russia with Love a 4.
Yeah, but you gave Dr. No a 7. So is this worse or better than Dr. No?
this is better than Dr. No, but
So that
we've been talking
has
about
to
all the
have an
problematic parts of it, and now
Okay,
I'm,
give him a
I'm
second, give
feeling
him a second.
like. I feel like the ground is shifting from underneath me, and I'm lost.
Colin, are you okay?
all right. We're gonna skip your number right now. But
No,
when
but
I come back, you got to
to
give
me,
it.
there's problematic parts, but to me, I see James Bond in this lens of being like this melodramatic hero who's not really into like the stuff that.
He's
Pause
buying
the James
time.
Bond
He's buying
apologia for
time.
just a second and just get a number. Is it better than Dr. No? Because it's got to be at least a 7.507.
Yeah, it's I'd say 7.5.
There's no points. You have
Okay.
to just give a
No,
solid
you
number.
can't do points. So a 707?
It sounds like you want an 8. You want
Yeah,
that
it's
Ocho.
Ocho is that 2 Ochos and
But it's got great.
more.
It's got great elements.
He's not giving it an Ocho.
James Bond is not just action; it's action fantasy, and
And for all of you with rape fantasies, this is the James Bond for you.
I was really gonna try to say something else besides what you just said, but now I can't.
So that's 2 ochos.
So 2
All right.
ochos?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, this is terribly anticlimactic, but I would say that this would be a what's a 9 and Nacho 07 for me.
you can
I
call
think
it
this is a fantastic, well-made movie. It would be a 907s, except I am really bothered.
Going higher than us?
No,
on.
I am really bothered by a lot of elements of that movie,
R&B.
particularly the Pussy Galore thing.
Yeah, brother.
I'm not knocking off an O, and we have a
Knock a notch?
unanimous
Ocho?
07. Yeah, it's a great movie with some really problematic stuff that doesn't age well.
Tres ocho.
It's really where they figured out how to make a James Bond movie. This is Goldeneye or Goldfinger is the Goldfinger is the blueprint. It's the blueprint. It's like where they
Like
went.
Jay-Z's blueprint?
It's exactly like Jay-Z's
All right.
blueprint. This is the blueprint. This is how they figured out how to get it done right.
This movie's bomb AF. That stands
So,
for as fuck.
License to Watch.
I definitely award this film a license to watch.
License to watch.
I'll give it a license to watch with several trigger warnings.
Yeah, trigger warnings.
Oh,
yeah, trigger
nice.
warnings.
All right. Take us out.
Bum, bum,
Boom.
bum, bum,
Boom.
bum, bum, bum.
Finger. I think that was solid gold.
Bond. 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 Name's Bond. James Bond. 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 Name's Bond. James Bond.